you grew up in the deserts.
Well, the desert was quite boring, so I was not forced, but I had a lot of time to just be creative and just be creative with my time, you know. So I didn't have any friends. I was born in Los Angeles. I was taken out of school. My stepfather got a job up in the desert, so we went up there. I was a pretty pissed off child. And then I eventually got a guitar, and I just spent a lot of time in my room. So.
I mean, what kind of music was triggering? Because there's always a moment when the possibilities of music are presented to you by like hearing 2 or 3 records. Or...
Right. So my mom had a few cassettes laying around. She had Prince, Purple Rain. She also had The Cars and Madonna, Like a Virgin. So that was my introduction to music. So it was the pop world. But I didn't get my mind blown until I discovered punk rock. You know, Bad Brains, Minor Threat, and things like that. Just by meeting a couple friends in my neighborhood, and that's where the anger comes from, I guess.
So you were like a little hardcore kid.
Yeah. I think Slayer changed my life. Yeah.
And then, so how did you go from there to the music you were making? I mean, how did that taste get refined, or the paths sort of diverge?
How did it get refined? It's still getting refined, I guess. I mean,
it's an endless process.
Yeah, I'm very amateur, to be honest. I'm just talking, you know. That's what my music is. It's just over time, you know. And I think the way I felt my expression was when I bought that Slayer record. I felt like, wow, when I first heard the first song, Angel of Death, I realized, wow, you know what? I don't have to suppress my feelings. I can be as loud as I want to be, and it's okay if I want to cry or if I want to scream. And I think that's what happened.
That sounds like a good song title, actually. So, and you also trained to be a graphic designer, weren't you? Was this at the same time, or was this just afterwards?
This was afterwards. I guess when I was a kid, I wanted to be a painter or whatever, but I know that it's a very hard career to get into or to be successful at. Same with music, actually. But my initial goal was to be an artist, you know. And then at one point, I felt like, okay, maybe I should study graphic design if I'm going to make some sort of career, if I want to be an artist, you know. And so I did that, but that felt empty.
Because the reason I was asking that is quite interesting, because you make all the music up on your own, and it's very precise. And I just wondered if the graphic design had actually influenced the way you create music, or they're just two things are parallel.
They're completely parallel. Sometimes, in fact, the first record, I had already designed the album cover before even writing the first song.
Right.
I just had this vision. I wanted to start writing music again, and I wanted to create something visual, and then I based everything around that, actually, afterwards.
So the music was actually influenced by the artwork, in a way?
For the first record, yeah.
But did you have an idea what kind of music you actually wanted to make after you made the artwork?
No, not really. I just wanted to be natural. I just wanted to finally give up. Because in the beginning, I had been in bands since I was 15 years old, and I always wanted to make something new, something different. It wasn't until I gave up trying to do something different, technical or whatever, when I started to be honest and just express myself. And then what came out was this project, Sophomore.
I mean, you do a lot of music on your own. I mean, you're working on your own, you know, just you're piling up instruments.
Malone,
yeah. But do you miss the kinetic energy working, bouncing ideas off a band?
Of course.
But in a sense, sometimes working on your own could be more creative.
Yeah, I mean, the whole project is kind of like an autobiography of my life. It's a journal. Instead of writing something down with words, I'm creating sounds. But yeah, in terms of what you mentioned about working with a band, that there's no feeling like that. It's one of the best feelings. That kind of communication is something I definitely miss.
I mean, when you take the song to a band, because you play as a band, does that change the nuances of the songs, or is it very strict?
Yeah, for sure. And because I do miss that sort of dynamic with playing with the band, I allow my bandmates to interpret the song however they want to kind of, you know, add things here and there, to perform, to play the instrument the way they intend to, whatever, the way they want. That way I can sort of still get that essence.
I mean, do you think there will be a point when you create with other people, or is it important to keep this within the parameters that it is? Because it works, you know, or is it just comfortable for you,
Right.
or is it something that's actually brought good results?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of the Soft Moon, that's completely a solo project. But yeah, I definitely intend to. I mean, I make music. I have to. There's no point in living without making music for me. So there will be plans, I'm sure, in the future to work with bands. I mean, like I said, that kind of dynamic, that communication, and that relationship with a person, and you don't even have to say any words, and you're just communicating through sounds. It's amazing.
I mean, when you get the music, do you hear it in your head, or do you get an idea of it, or is it you just sit there at home, headphones on, a few drum patterns, see what comes up, or is it all different processes?
It's different every time. It's interesting because my music is quite dark, but I have to be in a good mood when I write. I have to be like, okay, I wake up in the morning and I'm feeling great. If I'm sad and depressed, the last thing I want to do is sit down and work, you know. Yeah, I just lost my...
Yeah, but it's just about the actual creative process, and you know, if you could hear the songs before you started them.
I never do. I never predetermine anything. I don't. I sit down, and when it's time to write, when I feel like I just feel like writing something. That's how it works. I just know I need to get something off my chest, or I need to create something, and then I sit down and it's birthed.
Did you have to really trust your instincts as well? Because again, there's no one to bounce off. It's just you. So how do you know what's good and what's bad?
I just have to trust in myself, you know. I don't feel like there's a right or wrong. So if when I sit down, I just have to be organic and natural and just let go. And that's the hardest part is the letting go. And when you do let go, I mean, it's completely honest, and you can't be wrong if you're honest.
And the other thing I really like about the music is, I mean, it's pretty powerful music. So it's got an extrovert nature to it, but it's very introverted as well, and it's especially vocally. You always have up till the new album, which it still has the vocals mixed quite low, but the earlier records, when you whisper in the sing, which I think sounds fantastic, and the vocals are always quite low, aren't they? I mean, is that to create an atmosphere? Is that to create?
Well, it's funny actually. The whispering was kind of a mistake. My neighbors they would always complain.
Oh,
when I was
right,
writing music.
yeah,
So
yeah,
I started to whisper. It turned out to be some sort of aesthetic for the Soft Moon, which worked really well. And also on top of that, in the beginning, I couldn't understand my feelings. I couldn't understand my emotions. So therefore, I couldn't put down any words, and I didn't feel confident enough to express verbally. But over time, as I'm getting older, I'm starting to understand myself more, and now I'm more verbal, and I can put words down and understand my feelings more.
So say like in the first album, especially in the second album, when you're expressing emotions, is that more through the instrumentation than the voice?
Totally, yeah. Most of the emotion lies in the sound itself, the atmospheres and the mood. A lot of times I use the guitar to express how I'm feeling. It weeps a lot.
Would you say like, would you ever think of doing it instrumentally at that point in time? Were the vocals used as another instrument, or almost percussive because it's whispered, isn't it?
Yeah, sometimes it's rhythmic, but I never really intended to sing, but I felt like, because I like to add a lot of layers to my music, and using your voice was, for me, another way to add another layer and create more atmosphere and something more cinematic.
So when you do songwriting, you don't really write, I mean, the songs, of course they are, but you're not thinking write songs per se. It's not verse, chorus, middle, eight.
No.
You're creating atmosphere. It's like Robert Smith would do with The Cure, or Mogwai do with people like that, where using sounds to create atmosphere. Is that something that's important for you?
It's very important. And in terms of traditional song structures, that's something I wanted to find a way to get in your head without having the verse, chorus, the natural structure that we all know. I wanted to find an unconventional way to create, in a way, a pop song that's not really a pop song, but because it sticks in your head, or it hypnotizes you, or stays with you, in a different way, different approach.
So it's still very much couched in terms of pop music,
right?
But just pop music on your terms.
Exactly, because like I mentioned earlier, I mean, the first 3 albums I heard were pop albums.
Yeah. And that was the initial parameters of how you made music.
For sure, yeah.
Yeah. So also you the staging's important when you play live. It's like I saw you play in Estonia of all places, and it was very monochromatic, for lots of blacks and whites, very and the sort of shadows. You sort of, and is that from the graphic design background as well? You know, this idea that it's a 3D thing in it, the music and the lights and the artwork.
Yeah, sure. I mean, the whole point is just to. I really want to bring in the viewer as much as possible, and I think, you know, by adding some sort of dramatic lighting or anything like that, I can bring you. It's like as if I want to create a world. I don't want to be just a typical rock band on stage that you watch perform. I mean, I really want to bring you somewhere, take you away.
Into where? Is anywhere specific or just?
I guess into my world. Maybe I have a lot to cry about, so I just need to get shit off my chest.
I mean, when you listen to the music, do you sometimes think, "Whoa, that's quite dark." I'm surprised by how dark I'm getting here.
I'm still trying to figure that out.
Yeah.
Everything I make is dark, and yeah, I'm trying to figure that out. One day I'll know.
I mean, it's typical people do make dark music because they're never that dark as people. I mean, I've only known you about 10 minutes, but
I'm always smiling all the time, but that's, I guess I'm just contrasting the inside.
So, and the new album, because you moved to Berlin recently, and it's a bit more strident, isn't it? It's a bit more, there's a different sound to it. Would you, I mean, this is always kind of a lame thing, but do you think where you live actually makes a difference to the music?
To a certain extent, I feel as if you can put me anywhere and I'll still write the same songs. You can put me in Hawaii, and I'm sure I'll still write the same type of music. But at the same time, I mean, I can't help but be inspired or influenced just naturally. I mean, everything's inspiring. Everything is taken in, and then the subconscious is eventually will bring it out at some point in some way, shape, or form.
I mean, did you move to Berlin deliberately because of that, or did you just fancy living somewhere different?
It was a business move, actually. I get the fan base is a lot bigger in Europe, and when I started the project, I was still living in California, so I was flying a lot. These long flights just for festivals or tours and things like that, and I just wanted to be ready. I wanted to be ready for anything in terms of an opportunity to play a festival or whatever, because I was playing the majority of the time in Europe, so I wanted to be there, and so Berlin is quite central in terms of Europe goes, and my manager lives there. At the time, my drummer was also living in Berlin, and it just went with the flow. I mean, ultimately the music brought me there. I'm just writing it, you know.
And I mean, probably alluding to that question before, but does living there change you as well? You know, do you feel?
Yeah, it showed me a lot about myself, actually. Berlin is, wow. Made a lot of bad decision making, which I still do. It's brought me darker than I've ever been before, but it's all necessary, you know. That's just the way I see it.
I mean, so you actually do you seek out like darker situations? Do you immerse yourself in them as in an artistic way, or a fascination with the darker side?
Fascination, yeah. I like to take myself pretty far. I feel like a kind of a human experiment in a way.
Yeah. I mean, is that you do that to improve your creativity in a way, or?
I think so.
Or would you just be doing that anyway?
I think I'm just trying to sabotage everything. You know, I have a lot of self-hate, self-worthlessness, and things like that, and I'm just trying to I don't know. I just feel like it's weird confessing here, but yeah, that I don't deserve success and this and that, and I feel like a piece of shit. I grew up feeling that way. So any sort of success I have or whatever, or even like my body, I don't treat it as good as I should, you know. But I'm learning.
And does the music actually help you in ways? Is it therapeutic, or does it actually drag you in deeper sometimes?
It's cathartic during a live performance, but it's bringing me down a lot. I mean, it's showing me the truth. You know, I'm revealing to myself a lot of why I have so many problems, and you know, childhood thing and all this shit. And
because you had a difficult childhood.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, a lot of us do, but
yeah. And would you say that was the key trigger for?
Probably. And the thing is that I blacked most of it out. And as I'm writing music and releasing albums, I'm learning a little bit more and more and more. And yeah, that's just an ongoing process towards inner peace.
you attract very shy people.
Yeah, I'm shy myself.
Yeah, but that's the thing about that.
I had to take a shot just to come up here.
I mean, that's like a lot of music. This, I would imagine, for you, this is probably harder than playing a gig because you haven't got the music drowning out
Exactly.
the feelings.
I hide behind my guitar.
Yeah. So, I mean, I appreciate that you've actually done this. It's quite difficult. There's not much for safety net, is there?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, well, thanks to Louis. Thank you. Yeah.